Now, in December, Miami replacement, it is dun, 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 the former unified heavyweight champion of the world, Anthony Joshua. It's an exhibition.
It's Jake Paul, right? And I can't, as someone that represents Anthony Joshua, sit back and not look at potentially the biggest payday of his career, or one of them, to fight Jake Paul.
Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua have agreed to a heavyweight bout that will take place in Miami on Netflix in December.
Any developments on that?
Lots. I mean, you know, this bizarre world that we live in, I think Jake Paul is absolutely the front runner to fight Anthony Joshua next. I'm here in New York for meetings about that fight. There's an open dialogue between myself and Nikisa, an MVP.
The bout, reportedly airing on Netflix, came shortly after Jake Paul's exhibition with Gervonta Davis was called off. This announcement stirred intense reactions from fans and analysts, given the enormous weight and experience gap between Joshua, a seasoned world champion, and Paul, who continues to climb from influencer boxing into elite competition. Ring Magazine shared, Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul are finalizing a deal for a heavyweight fight on Netflix in December in Miami. Sources tell the Ring's Mike Coppinger Paul steps up to fight the former heavyweight champion after his exhibition with Gervonta Davis was canceled. What began as an extracurricular display on the part of Paul soon evolved into a career-defining confrontation. When Paul had the planned fight with Gervonta Davis canceled, he shifted his eyes to Joshua. This two-time unified heavyweight champion was an indication of a risky move in competition.
And so I like the challenge. People, that's the criticism. Fight someone in their prime, who's a beast. I think people just want to see me lose. That's really what the message is behind it all. And Anthony Joshua is an insane fight, but I want that challenge. We've been DMing back and forth. He wants to make it happen. He called me up, and it's looking very likely for next year.
This was not just another glare event to Paul, whose record was 12-1-7 knockouts. He had established his reputation on high-profile crossover matches, but was generally criticized on the basis of having matched smaller or past prime or mismatched opponents. This is now a giant leap in facing Joshua. Joe Rogan aired out his opinion on the upcoming Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight, as it was a big financial decision but a risky move by Paul. On his part, he noted that Joshua was the established previous heavyweight champion, therefore he would naturally earn a share of the purse, which would be about 99% of the overall revenue.
They're talking right now about doing Anthony Joshua, Jake Paul.
I know, I saw that.
Jake Paul apparently wants that fight, and he agreed to, I think it was 99% to 1, where Joshua gets 99% of the money and he gets 1%.
Jake Paul probably doesn't care about the money,
well,
but
he has plenty of money, and if he won, oh my God, if he beat Anthony Joshua.
Rogan stressed that the fight may turn into an epic event in case Jake Paul somehow manages to win over Joshua, but it is a risky situation instead of a competitive one. This fight, in his opinion, is more of a show than a sporting match, and the risks to the reputation and career of Paul, in case he ventures into the ring with one of the heaviest hitters of the modern boxing world, are enormous.
Lord. Good Lord. I mean, that's a big if. Right? I mean, Anthony Joshua,
I do not
Olympic gold medalist, former heavyweight champion of the world. What he did to Francis Ngannou, good Lord.
Yes.
Do you want that smoke?
Yeah, I just think it's all about the promotion or whatever. That fight's not competitive at all.
Well, it's a dangerous fight.
Yeah.
Because Joshua's going to try to make an example out of him, for sure.
And will.
I mean, Anthony Joshua's one of the biggest one-punch KO artists ever.
Yes.
Turki Alalshik also said that the battle between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul was officially confirmed. He presented the fight as a win-win situation where both parties were going to win in the fight. Moreover, he disclosed that the conventional pay-per-view will not be utilized in this event and that there would be a new strategy in terms of broadcasting and monetizing the fight.
Did you get Jake Paul here tonight as well?
Yeah, I see him. He's guest for Queensberry, and we are talking now about the future. Let's see.
Are you really talking about a fight between him and Anthony Joshua?
Why not?
Spencer Oliver and Gareth A. Davies had a vocal opposition to the very concept of Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul, declaring the match an unneeded affair that can cause harm to the legacy of Joshua. They felt that Josh needed to be working on his career and reputation after losing convincingly to Daniel Dubois, and not an insincere show for money.
I don't want to see a man decapitated in Miami in a ring in December.
Listen, and that's what will happen. So
14 months ago, he got beaten up by Daniel Dubois. He's been away from the ring for ages. Now he's stepping in against a YouTuber who's probably wouldn't even win a Southern area title. This affects his legacy, Spencer. I know you're the president of the Anthony Joshua Appreciation Society, but come on, critique this. Shouldn't be happening.
Oliver made the argument that the fight is not in Joshua's favor in terms of his credibility, whereas Davies observed that it works to the advantage of Jake Paul, who lives off crossover entertainment instead of boxing skill. They both insisted that the name Joshua has a historical touch to it, and associating it with a YouTube star is a way of diminishing his image to an act of commercialism and not that of a former world champion.
And then fight Tyson Fury next.
Do you need a seat, mate? You're getting a little bit excited there.
Why are you
Just relax a
swearing?
little bit and just relax a little bit. But no, I'm agreeing with you.
Good.
I don't think I'm agreeing with you.
I'm really shocked.
Can I speak?
I'm really shocked.
Can I speak?
Yes, I'm
Thank
really
you.
shocked.
I'm agreeing with you. I don't think Anthony Joshua should be having this fight at this stage of his career, but not at all. If we're talking about a rebuild and a route back to the world title, Jake Paul shouldn't happen right now.
This news not only created a shockwave due to the aggressive incompatibility in credentials and resume, but also due to the drama that was created by it with a social media boxer explosion and crossover spectacle in the air. This fight promised to be the most explicit event of the year that had to be viewed. Mike Coppinger entered the fray of the outrageous news about Jake Paul taking on Anthony Joshua, pointing out the drastic change in the level of competition of the first. He observed that Paul had originally been training to take a much smaller opponent in Gervonta Davis, but instead he had decided to go ahead and meet a full-fledged heavyweight in an honest fight.
In Miami on Netflix, and now he's going to fight, instead of having a fake fight, basically, I don't want to say fake fight, but an exhibition against a 135 pounder. Now he's going to fight a heavyweight in a real fight, and it's a bout that was in talks earlier this year. And look, I know that it's a major business, but still got to give Jake Paul major props, right? He's fighting Anthony Joshua. We saw what Joshua did to the last non-world class boxer he faced, which was Francis Ngannou, and flattened him in 2 rounds last year. So I think it's fascinating.
Mike Coppinger also elaborated that the business decision of Anthony Joshua in accepting Jake Paul as his opponent made sense. Coppinger indicated that in case Joshua was going to fight an easier opponent anyway, he could have done so, making tens of millions of dollars, which is a rational decision.
Look, Joshua said he wanted a warm-up fight, right? You're looking at a fight potentially with Tyson Fury next year, and if you're going to do a warm-up fight, you might as well make tens of millions of dollars to do it. I can't blame Anthony Joshua here, no.
Mike Coppinger went ahead to emphasize that, as an individual, he knew why Anthony Joshua took up the fight. According to him, it was a simple matter of business for Joshua, a huge payday, and with minimal risk to bear, he added, I can't blame him because it's a mega payday, and it seems like it's a low risk. I think it's low risk. If Jake Paul surprises us, then fair play to him. Analysts noted that Paul was chewing off a lot more than he was used to chewing, and the danger was quite imminent. One report called it a disastrous misfit, while others held that had Joshua been born, it would have destroyed the fast-rising career of Paul. Eddie Hearn shared his blunt opinions regarding the eye-catching news of Jake Paul against Anthony Joshua, where he termed the whole affair as weird and dangerous. Hearn noted that the majority of the boxing fraternity had chances that Joshua would put an end to the circus by outright beating a humiliated Paul back to a normalcy of sports 532 to 602. Eddie Hearn added to what he had said in the previous instance by disclosing what he felt to be the actual motivation of this matchup. In his opinion, Jake Paul and his team had deluded themselves that Anthony Joshua had lost any ability to resist punches, and this was the most opportune moment to attack. Hearn, however, indicated that this kind of thinking was being overly naive.
We're going to see this fight because Jake Paul and his merry men are telling him that AJ, his punch resistance is gone. You know, this is a great time to fight him. I'm telling you, be careful what you wish for, because this is the most dangerous thing. This is like tuning in to watch David Blaine. You know, when he's in the box and you're wondering whether he's going to get out in time. This is the kind of thing when you tune into his fight. And I've told Nikita and I've taped Jake Paul, this ain't David Blaine. This is going in with one of the most fiercest punchers of our generation. And by the way, if you go in there thinking you're going to win, that's even more dangerous. And I know commercially this fight breaks all kinds of records.
Leon Edwards reacts to this appalling saying that it takes a pure form of guts that a man who was born on YouTube and celebrity boxing to challenge someone like Joshua nevertheless. He cautioned everyone that in case Joshua somehow failed to hold Paul, it would cast serious doubts on the validity of the fight, since no one anticipated that the fight would last long.
I just seen that. Someone just told me about that. That's mad. Fair play to Jake Paul, first of all, for taking it. But if AJ doesn't knock him out in like 1-2 rounds, then I feel like the fight must be fixed or something, because I'm going to Anthony Joshua, obviously, for the KO. So yeah, when is it, you know?
It's going to be next month they're working towards.
Oh yeah, sick. Yeah, I'm going AJ for the win.
Cheers.
Anticipation built quickly. Social sites fans forecasted an early KO in Joshua and ignored Paul with cold sight. Anything other than a savage AJ KO and the like was a catchphrase Joe Rogan has expressed his opinion about the power and reputation of Anthony Joshua in the ring. He reminded the fans that Joshua was among the most devastating one-punch knockout artists in the history of modern boxing, the type of fighter that could finish a fight in a single punch. Rogan was pleased with Joshua and his ability to control the field and maintain his technical skills and discipline, which made him realize just how unsafe he was in a fight where he dominated Ngannou.
Yeah. Because Joshua's going to try to make an example out of him, for sure.
And will.
I mean, Anthony Joshua is one of the biggest one-punch KO artists ever.
Yes.
I mean, he's a one-punch fucking night-night guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's a great boxer, you know, very skillful.
Yeah. The Ngannou fight, we all thought it's like Ngannou with Fury. It's like, wow, this guy's in the mix now. He's in the mix. Let's see what happens. And it's like, oh, okay.
On his part, Paul said he desired someone bigger than him, and he was prepared to silence those who criticized him by letting a heavyweight overpower him with size and experience. This story of underdog versus ex-elite champion, influencer crossover versus established heavyweight brought the fight way beyond boxing. It was a spectacle, a social phenomenon, and an identity test to both men. Eddie Hearn examined the future fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua, and he approached the issue of size, power, and mentality. He emphasized that although Joshua had a much stronger position and could win a fight with one punch against a weaker opponent like Tank, Jake Paul stood out because of his bravery and readiness to face such an adversary.
I think Jake would be, I mean, my estimations of Jake Paul would go through the roof if he signed to fight Anthony Joshua, because I just can't believe in my mind that he would do something like that. I mean, Gervonta was a smart one because of his size. Like, you know, I think actually he would have had a lot of success against Jake Paul, but the size is a problem.
As Hearn pointed out, the audacity and willingness of Paul to take on the best in the elite meant that he was ready to enter into a high-stakes fight, mentally tough and free of fear, when it comes to a fight where the physical odds are evidently stacked against him.
But this would just be, you know, like if Jake Paul was to take the fight with AJ, you'd really have to maybe carry his balls in a wheelbarrow on the ring walk, you know, because AJ wouldn't mess around in there, you know. So it would be huge, but nothing to tell you it's close. Just a few conversations so far.
Jake Paul had challenged Anthony Joshua several times previously, which meant that he was confident and wanted to fight a high-ranking opponent. As time passed, the way Paul viewed Joshua changed. It became more critical in his eyes, since he felt that Joshua was not as fast or as energetic as he had been before. Paul stated that these perceived weaknesses gave him the sense that he was capable of overcoming Joshua, implying that he felt the chance to exploit the fact that the former champion was no longer as physically sharp and fast.
But here's the thing. I want to fight Anthony Joshua exclusive because I know that I will fucking beat Anthony Joshua's ass. I know I will
just got knocked out, right?
Yeah. He doesn't have a chin and he has no skill and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends, all this shit. But I want to fight you. I will beat Canelo. I will beat a lot of fucking people. I will not beat David Benavidez.
It's not even close.
I would get torn up, bro.
Compared to the style of the fighters, weight and skill were at a great variance. At a previous heavyweight, Paul had demonstrated that he could weigh and be able to move up to a bigger weight. His athletic ability was fair for his size, his timing was good for a relative novice, and his self-esteem was bordering on arrogance. However, critics were not convinced about his chin, his strength in the heavyweight division, and the strength of his boxing basics. Derek Chisora spoke about the fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul and expressed his his opinion on the fight. He observed that Joshua had made a big break in fighting, and this would make the fight very easy for him. According to Chisora, there was no need to make the situation too complicated, and he believed that Joshua had the experience and strength to cope with the situation without significant effort.
Delicious. Listen, good. AJ took a year out. Easy for him. And I think it should be laid to rest, because I don't think AJ's going to go in and try and pat. AJ's going to like.
Derek Chisora also explained further his idea regarding the fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul, and the need for urgency and decisiveness of Joshua. He advised against catching the attention of Paul and said it may be a nightmare for the career of Joshua. Chisora emphasized that Joshua had to win the fight within a short period of time, preferably in 2 or 3 rounds, just as he had effectively done with other fighters.
Depends, we'll see. But I will say this to AJ, don't let that guy knock you out, because that will be f***ing nightmares forever. But 1 or 2, put it this way, AJ has to kill him in 3 rounds.
If it goes longer than 3 rounds, you back Jake Paul?
No, I don't back Jake Paul. That means, what is AJ doing?
Yeah.
He has to smoke him in 3 rounds. The same way he did in Ngannou. How many rounds was in Ngannou?
2, second round.
Exactly. So he has to smoke him in 2 rounds.
At the other end, Joshua came with an imposing height of 6 feet 6 inches, professional achievements as one of the elite amateurs, including Olympic gold, and a resume that ranged from world titles, knockout victories, and experience on the pinnacle. Although he had displayed signs of deterioration, he still posed a threat with his punching ability, his IQ, and mentality to be the champion. Logan Paul registered his belief in Jake Paul's fight against Anthony Joshua, claiming that it would be a milestone point in his brother's reputation. He was convinced that after Jake entered the ring and demonstrated his abilities against such an experienced boxer as Joshua, those who considered him an invalid boxer would be left with no other option but to admit his skills.
The Joshua thing is crazy.
Is that a real conversation?
Jake's a fucking lunatic, and it's probably real. I saw Joshua knock out Francis Ngannou, and the guy was like out cold for 5 minutes, and this is a guy who had never been knocked down, let alone knocked out.
If he steps in the ring with him, and actually a bell rings and there are punches thrown, every bit of Jake Paul is not a real boxer conversation is gone forever.
Jason Cundy expressed his doubt about the upcoming match between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. He recommended that the fight could be more of an exercise than a real competitive fight, meaning that Joshua, a former world champion, could easily control the game. Cundy also posed questions regarding the fans and bettors, and whether people watching the fight may feel cheated in case the fight does not go as anticipated.
Cynicism in me tells me that this is going to be just an exhibition, and AJ should wipe the floor with him within the first round, right? And if he doesn't, are we getting mugged as punters?
Well, it's on Netflix, so if you've got a net...
No, but whoever's punters, when I say punters, the watching audience, right, around the world, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, mate.
I think it's dangerous.
Yeah,
I genuinely think it's dangerous.
Ada Oladipo compared Jake Paul and Tank to his future match with Anthony Joshua. He thought that the magnitude, stake, and general impact of fighting a former world heavyweight champion like Joshua would be so much more than his fight with Tank. The match was supposed to draw much more attention, push Jake Paul to a new level, and offer a show that would surpass anything he has done in his previous fights.
If I'm AJ, like I used to remember saying at the time, like, don't do it, it's rubbish, doesn't help your career. Ade, shut up. You're getting gifted 78 million for a sparring session.
And it would do whatever views Tank Davis versus Jake Paul does, triple them for AJ.
It would do bigger than Canelo Crawford.
I know it would. It would do bigger than Canelo Crawford.
Yeah, I think it would do bigger than Canelo Crawford.
Would do much bigger.
Yeah, because every single man, woman, child over here will watch it.
Everyone over here would watch it. The fact that it's a heavyweight, it's not a lightweight.
Yeah, it's a fight he's supposed to lose. Because everyone wants to see Jake Paul get chinned, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's ultimately what we're going to say.
That's what everyone wants to see.
So there'll be a queue of people queuing up with their Netflix account, just waiting to see if this big monster can chin him.
The hype behind Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua has reached a fever pitch, and it is going to be a fight like none the fans have ever witnessed. It is not just another win, but a watershed moment that can potentially change the career of Jake Paul and put the legacy of Joshua to the test in the ring. The stakes could not be higher, with Joshua having his power, experience, and proven set of skills, and Paul having his courage, confidence, and readiness to handle a challenge on a top level. It is thought by many that this fight will serve as the best match Jake has ever had, which is even his match with Tank Davis, which provided a better dramatic feeling, intensity, and worldwide focus. Who do you consider to emerge as winners? Will Jake be able to shock the world, or will AJ be able to demonstrate why he is a heavyweight champion? Write a comment, give it a like in case you are excited, and subscribe to keep you informed about all the fights and breakdowns.